Hey guys, what's up? Today I want to talk about the state of gaming. Not just the games themselves, but the way the industry is going, how players are treated, and why it feels like things just aren't as fun anymore. This isn't just about complaining, it's about talking what's broken and talking about how we could maybe fix it. Generative AI is rapidly changing the gaming industry, especially in how voice content is produced. Just like this video is talked by AI, as I don't want to pay some voice actor to read few lines and I have problems with my voice. With advanced AI voice tools, developers can now create lifelike voiceovers without hiring human actors. This is cost-effective, fast, and scalable, particularly appealing for indie developers and large studios alike. Especially large studios in the cost-efficient way. However, this is a serious threat to professional voice actors. As AI voices have become more realistic, many roles, especially minor characters, background NPCs, and localized voices, are increasingly being handled by machines. Some actors have already lost jobs to AI-generated alternatives, and the growing use of voice cloning raises concerns about consent and intellectual property. This is currently seen more in the anime industry, as voice actors are being retards and think they have some holier-than-thou position. In some cases, actors' voices are replicated or trained into AI systems without proper permission or compensation. Without clear legal protections, artists risk having their voices used in games they never agreed to, with no control over how their likeness is portrayed. That said, AI also creates new opportunities. Some actors are licensing their voices for royalties or using AI to expand their vocal range and output. For emotionally rich, story-driven games, human performances still offer a level of depth that AI can't match, at least for now. Microtransactions are death of a soul. Microtransactions, and let me be clear, they are killing the soul of gaming. I don't care if it's just cosmetics. Though I still believe even cosmetic microtransactions harm the games, as now the gear you will play towards isn't possibly as detailed. Before, if you saw someone with an awesome mount or a crazy armor set, you respected them. You Googled or asked, "Where did you get that?" And the answer was usually a brutal raid or, "I farmed this world boss for weeks." That reward had weight. It was a symbol of commitment, time, and/or skill. Now you see someone with a fancy mount and it's like, "Oh cool, you spent $20. It means nothing, and there's possibility that your mount looks like shit because of the work that was spent on making microtransaction mount. We've commodified achievement. That's not just bad design, it's disrespectful to the player base. And then you get games like Diablo Immortal, where they don't even pretend. They made a game designed from the ground up to bleed money from you. The core progression, the loot, the power scaling, it's all locked behind paywalls. The drop rates are so manipulated that you literally can't progress meaningfully without spending. That's not a game. That's a predator with a UI. This is why I get so pissed about battle passes, pay-to-win, cash shops, because they degrade the entire point of playing. They remove the satisfaction of the grind, the joy of the reward, and replace it with transactions. The death of gaming journalism, sort of. Gaming journalism isn't what it used to be, and honestly, it kind of feels like it's on life support. Back in the day, websites and magazines were the go-to sources for news, reviews, and deep dives into upcoming games. People trusted outlets like IGN, GameSpot, or Kotaku to tell them what was worth playing. Now, not so much. One big reason is trust, or the lack of it. Over time, readers started noticing that some reviews felt a little too positive, especially for big-budget games. It became clear that ad money and early access deals could affect coverage. When gamers feel like reviews are more about keeping publishers happy than being honest, it's a problem. Meanwhile, content creators have taken over. YouTubers and streamers give people what they want: gameplay, reactions, and opinions from someone they like or relate to. Watching a trusted streamer try a game for a few hours feels way more genuine than reading a polished article written under pressure. Social media also changed the game. News spreads on Reddit and Twitter faster than any website can publish it. And let's be real, most people would rather watch a funny review on YouTube or read a meme-filled Reddit thread than scroll through a 1,500-word article. That said, there are still great writers doing solid, thoughtful work. But it's hard to compete in a world driven by views, clicks, and viral moments. Gaming journalism isn't completely dead, but it's definitely changed. Whether that's a good thing depends on what you value, deep analysis or quick entertainment. Maybe the future of game coverage is a mix of both. Let's shift to something partly positive. I love games. On paper, as I have not yet played them, games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls. Because they trust the player. I could simply refer to Mario, it doesn't have difficulty setting, you either manage the jump or not. Though I appreciate difficulty settings in games as I'm quite a pussy and often like to play on normal or even easy and then play the game afterwards on harder difficulty. Games like Elden Ring don't coddle you. They don't hold your hand too much. They drop you into a world and say, good luck. And when you figure it out, when you beat that boss or solve that puzzle, it's your win. You earned it. There's a lot of modern games that often design around fear that a player will get bored, or confused, or quit. So they layer on tutorials, markers, UI clutter, and make everything so accessible that nothing feels special anymore. From what I understand, Elden Ring doesn't care. You want to find that cave? Explore. You want to beat that boss? Learn the moveset, adapt, try again. And that kind of payoff is extremely rewarding gaming experience. We need more games that challenge us, that make us think, that make us fail. Because failure is part of fun when it's not too punishing. For example, Final Fantasy XIV does their content extremely well, as you often spawn just before boss if you fail, so you can try again without wasting your time. When a game respects my limited intelligence, it earns my respect in return. Let's also give some love to modders and private server devs. These people are the unsung heroes of gaming. You've got Skyrim modders adding better content, better graphics, even entirely new storylines. You've got WoW private servers like Nostalrius or TurtleWow preserving what made the game great before Blizzard wrecked it. To the point that Blizzard later did it theirself to a degree. These people aren't getting paid. They're doing it out of love. Out of passion. And nowadays often the time, their work improves the work of what the actual dev team delivers. Modding is the purest form of community feedback. It's players saying, this is what we actually want. And companies constantly miss that. Instead of embracing modders, they try to shut them down. Instead of learning from private servers, they act like they don't exist, until Classic WoW blew up and they realized, oh wait, maybe these players were right. When the players care more about the game than the devs do, that should tell you everything. Sexism in gaming, which is very real. It's not made up. It's not some Twitter outrage campaign. It's real, and it sucks, but not always. I don't understand the need to make characters fat or slash and ugly. Why would I ever want that? I want women to be beautiful. I want the men to beautiful, everyone could just look their best. OFC, it's nice to have harsher looking characters, but then there's also the cool and sexy factors. While gaming, women get harassed in voice chat, excluded from raids, targeted just for being visible online. They're judged harder, criticized more harshly, and often just ignored in conversations about skill or contribution. I've seen it happen. We all have. But what drives me nuts, the companies that weaponize this issue for PR. You know the ones. They slap a rainbow flag on their logo in June, they post some, "We support women in gaming" tweet, and then you find out they've got a dozen HR complaints about harassment they covered up. Just fucking do your job and treat people with respect all through the year. You don't get to virtue signal while you protect abusers. If you care, show it through action. Hire diverse voices. Promote based on merit, not gender. Make sure your workplace is safe and fair. Don't just throw buzzwords around while you exploit the people you pretend to support. It's not about equality, it's about talent. Hold everyone to the same standards. I feel that part of the root problem of modern gaming is corporate bullshit. Gaming has been taken over by people who don't play games. And the wonder, how can you hate the games we are making? Easily, just watch me do it after you release a shit product. Decisions now made by a boardroom of executives who care more about quarterly earnings than long-term player trust. They don't think about what makes a game fun, they think about how to extract the most money per user. You can see it in the design. Endless live service models. FOMO events. Time gating. Monetization layered into the core loop. It's all engineered for engagement metrics. They want to maximize daily active users, session time, and conversion rates, not joy, not challenge, not immersion. But there's still light out there. For example, games like Baldur's Gate 3 and Hades are made by people who care. You can feel the difference. The writing, the systems, the polish, it's all made with heart. The sad part is that these games feel like the exception now, not the rule. But they prove it's still possible to make great games without exploiting your players. Indie games, honestly, they've been saving the soul of gaming. These are the titles made by small teams or even solo developers who are in it for the love of the game. They're not trying to manipulate you with battle passes or squeeze you for every dollar, they just want to make something cool, something real. Games like No Man's Sky, Hades, Stardew Valley, Celeste, Undertale, these aren't just good indie games, they're some of the best games of the past decade, period. They bring fresh ideas, creative mechanics, emotional storytelling, and unique art styles that you just don't see in AAA anymore. What I love most about indie games is the risk-taking. Big studios are so afraid to try anything new. Everything has to be focus-tested and safe. Indies? They go nuts. They experiment. They speak from the heart. And the result is often mediocre, but there's a lot of gems in that shit pile. Why I say it like that, just look at the Steam store. These games resonate. They stick with you. They might not have the biggest budgets or the flashiest graphics, but they've got something far more important, passion. We need to support indie devs. Not just because they make great games, but because they remind us what gaming is supposed to be about. You guys don't know me, I grew up with MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, KOTOR, Warhammer Age of Reckoning. Those games were my childhood, my passion, my obsession. But it's not the same anymore. And it makes me sad there has not been a new, great MMORPG. I honestly don't have high hopes even for Ashes of Creation. Back in the day, i.e. WoW was about cooperation. If you wanted to run a dungeon or do a raid, you needed to build a group. You needed a guild. And those relationships mattered. Today, that's gone. WoW has become a single-player experience layered with multiplayer features. Matchmaking systems killed the need for community. Group Finder made people disposable. You don't remember the name of the tank from your Mythic Plus pug because the game doesn't encourage you to. It's all about good old in and out, fast dopamine hits, fast gear, fast burnout. I'm experiencing the same with ESO right now as I've returned to it briefly. At least in that, gear doesn't turn shit after every patch like it does in WoW. Classic WoW blew up because people were starving for that old-school philosophy, where your gear mattered longer than 3 months and your server felt like a neighborhood. I rant because I care. I love games. They've been a huge part of my life. They help me, even right now, through hard times. They've brought me joy, connection, purpose. But I also see where it's all going, and it scares me. If we don't push back, if we don't demand better, gaming is going to become a wasteland of half-baked cash grabs and soulless content updates. Just maybe, if enough of us speak up, they'll start listening. Thanks for watching. If you feel the same way, let's talk in the comments. If you disagree, that's cool too. Let's have the conversation. Have a great day.